Welcome back. New School Sensei podcast. So Lance Douglas here. I'm at the home studio without my big bro Ken, but it's all good. We got Cheyne McMahon. For some reason, I want to say McMahon. I think it's because I've been watching that WWE documentary.
Yes, my Uncle Vince. Yes, no, no relation. It's actually McMahon is how you're supposed to say it, but
McMahon.
in Australia it's McMahon, and in America it's McMahon. So
There you
yeah,
go.
it's
McMahon.
Irish surname, and McMahon is the correct way to say it. But look, I had thought about using McMahon, reclaiming that name, but it just looked like a bit of a.
It's too far gone.
Yeah, it's too far gone now, mate.
So I know, Shane, so you've got a couple of dojos. You're one of the bigger clubs in Australia. So you've grown that really well. But actually, I know your dojo more from your dad.
Yeah.
So Bob McMahon or McMahon.
McMahon,
yeah. I remember my mum was speaking about him because my mum trains martial arts. And this would have been 20 years ago. She's bringing up your dad, Bob.
Yeah.
And I remember we're in a part of our old club. They had these annual meetings, and my mum did a huge amount of research into kata, stances, and she cited a lot of your dad's material.
Oh, okay.
She brought it up to the meeting. We had all the other senseis. She had this big slab of paper. She was ready to do a big prezzo. She starts, and then 10 seconds in, the sensei just go, "Nah, don't worry about it. We're just going to follow the book." So at that time, we're following the JKA book. So
right.
It's a good way to start this podcast because this topic we're going to talk about, we're going to be running through how to run a progressive syllabus in martial arts, specifically in karate.
Yeah.
So, Shane, talk us through, because I know with your syllabus, you've just added in the weapons, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
you've also put in into a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So run us through that.
So it's 3 separate syllabus, so it's 3 separate programs. However, in our karate program, we've included Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. For more than 30 years. My dad looked at kata and movements in the 80s and 90s and wanted to know more. So he started researching and looked into why karate doesn't have grappling. So then he started doing Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, in the late 80s, early 90s, and trained there for a few years. Did a lot of seminars and just adapted some of the Jiu-Jitsu moves, the joint locks, takedowns, throws, break falls into our karate syllabus. So we've been doing it since then. With the Kobudo, with the weapons, we have been doing weapons, since around the same sort of time. But this year, I've created a standalone Kobudo class, standalone Kobudo program. Last year, I wanted to do Jiu-Jitsu. I wanted to do Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like 5 years ago. So I decided, instead of me just training, I would bring it to our dojo and start a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program, mainly because and we incorporate some of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into our karate program as well, especially with the kids, and with our black belt adults, we have included, the hip escapes and just some basic like a triangle, those really basic things that everybody should know. But my brother-in-law from New Zealand has done zero martial arts, but he's a big UFC fan, and he knew double leg takedown. He knew Kimura. He knew all of these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu movements and techniques and names just from watching UFC and playing the video game. So I realized, this is a couple of years ago, and I realized if he knew, then a lot of other guys will know. And all of a sudden, your Joe Blow on the street, he might go to do a double leg takedown, So we need to defend against that, and we need to understand it and learn it. So that's why I started, incorporating that into our karate and as a standalone program.
I like how you guys have been like progressing your martial arts since the 80s. So that's proper
Uh,
old school.
yeah,
Proper
my
old
yeah,
school.
my dad started karate in 1967, and so he's he's continually looking for answers, right? Like with karate, it's so hard to understand. Jiu-jitsu is relatively simple in the fact that it's 100 years old and it's sort of evolved into a sport. Whereas karate, there are so many factions of and styles and ideas on what is a mystery because nothing was written down. It's 150, 200 years old, and nobody knows what it looked like. So we're always trying to recreate, trying to find out why do we do this? Why does it look like that? How did it evolve to that? Why did that person do it this way? Whereas jiu-jitsu, it's a little Brazilian jiu-jitsu, obviously, is a little less complicated. Way more techniques, man. Way more combinations and way more things that you have to figure out on the fly. Whereas karate is it's a bit more complex in that there's nobody knows. Right? We can speculate and do research and find an older kata and maybe get closer to the original source, but really, man, nobody really knows. Well, everybody, claims that they know it, but anyway. But look, as progressing, yeah, my dad has always looked for something more, something other than just what everybody else is doing.
Bang bang. I wonder if your dad, say, if he was, if well, obviously he's still around, but if he was in his 20s
Yeah,
right now,
100%.
do you reckon he would be running a podcast and
Oh man,
he'd
well,
be, I guess,
so yeah, this is how long ago it was. He had a, a PDF group or so they would do like an email list. He had like 20, more than 20 years ago. He had a couple of hundred people all around the world on it was called a Research Society, Karate Research Society International group, like
I
a
think my mum was on that
oh,
maybe.
okay,
She
yeah,
might have
yeah,
jumped on that.
yeah, yeah. There you go. And so he had people contributing from around the world, and he would like put it together and send it out. He also wrote a couple of booklets on Commodore history, and yeah, he was just as obsessed as I am now over karate. And when I asked him about when I told him I was thinking about bringing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in, I asked him his thoughts. One, he didn't really know much about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he had to go and look at it. And then he said, "Look, Shane, if that was around 40 years ago, I would have been training it." So that gave me the all clear. So yeah, he's definitely always looking forward to find out why, what happened before, what happened 100 years ago. So yeah, continually evolving.
You have to. So let's bring it back to your karate syllabus. So tell me, how has that evolved over the last 5 years?
Yep. Okay. About 5 years ago, I dropped the Pinan kata from my adult syllabus. So instead of doing Pinan kata, which is the basic kata for most Shotokan, Shitoru, or Okinawan Shorin-ryu styles, I started the adults with Nai Funchi or Nai Hanchi first. That's their first kata. So we have two kata, two karate kata, two black belt, two shodan in adults, and a koburo or bojutsu, a bow kata, to black belt. Everything else in that syllabus is geared around two-person drills, sparring, conditioning, two-person flow drills, joint locks, takedowns, throws, all of the stuff that you shouldn't and can't teach to children. Whereas my children's syllabus has all the things that you should be teaching to children. The five Pinan kata, actually the four Pinan kata. I don't include Pinan Sandan because I bloody hate it, but as well as modern sparring. And at Junior Black we include some weaponry, some bojutsu, some bow. Um, but you know, as far as the syllabus goes, 20 years ago, it looked similar, but just had more and more kata. And as the years have gone past, have gone by, I've just taken out a lot of kata, and I've taken out a lot of kata kion, because we already practice the kata kion, the kata fundamentals, the kata movements in the kata. I don't want to spend half an hour on upper blocks. Especially for adults, man, like maybe 20 or 30 years ago, that would fly because that is what karate is perceived to be. But now, as UFC has become more popular, karate combat, all of these things, jiu-jitsu, you have to evolve, and the classes have to be enjoyable, fun. The adults have to be sweating, and so my club, I want more adults, more and more adults, and a lot of my marketing is based around adults, getting more adults in. So we have about 280 members at my Salisbury dojo, and we have about 110 adults.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's unlike other dojo because my syllabus doesn't have the Sanbon Kumite, this one step punch to the
Yep.
face and step back upper block, right? I dropped that years ago because I just can't see a sense in it. And I would rather do a drill where the person punches your face and you jam, grab them, headbutt, throw them to the floor, something like that, right? Something that is useful for one, for self-defense, and two, goes back to the kata, what kata looks like. So every self-defense situation that we have starts and ends with the kata. All right. So if you're doing somebody grabs your hair, you use a part of a naifanchi kata to get out of it. So everything has to revolve around kata. I'm not opposed to bringing more kata in. I'm actually thinking about bringing a kata back. Oh,
Oi, bringing it back.
because I really enjoy that kata. So as far as the syllabus, it shouldn't. It's not black and white. You got to continue to evolve. You've got to continue to relook at what's working, what's not working. Am I doing too many joint locks? Is there not enough takedowns? Do people not enjoy breakfalls? Or actually, nobody enjoys breakfalls, but you know. But so as far as the Kobudo syllabus, for example, I not everybody likes not everybody likes swinging a bow. Not everybody likes nunchaku. I mean, everybody likes nunchaku, but not everybody likes that, right? So I include it to black belt and will do it for as long as I think it's working, but not everybody enjoys it. So that's why I created the separate Kobudo program. I did it 15 years ago as well, and it was good for a while, and then just sort of petered out. But I think now it's it's a different time. I think now with the rise of jiu-jitsu and the rise of MMA, I think there's definitely a place for traditional karate and traditional martial arts, and people are looking for that discipline, and they're looking for a culture that they can sort of immerse themselves into, or they can really pay homage back to Okinawa or Japan, depending on the martial arts. So, yeah, I think there's a place for traditional martial arts.
From what I'm hearing, because for our club of twins, the way I describe it is we're half Miyagi-Do, so you got all the traditional stuff, and then we're half Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
How would you describe your club? It seems like you obviously still got the Miyagi-Do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fully half Cobra Kai or
No.
how would you describe it?
It'd be 75-25, right? So 75 traditional karate, and I always want that traditional aspect because I see value in learning kata for self-defense, as well as making yourself a better person. So my three aims, or my three pillars for the dojo is one, building better people, making them more confident. Kids, adults, everybody, and myself included too. I want to be a better person. Another one is teaching self-defense skills. And that's self-defense. I always sort of change what I think self-defense is. Maybe it's not. I don't consider self-defense to be fighting. I consider self-defense looking after somebody else, looking after myself, looking after my son, looking after my wife, or looking after people in the general community, somebody who's been harassed, right? As a karateka, as a martial artist, I think we have a responsibility to sort of look after that person. Whether that is calling the police, staying with that person, watching, or intervening. I think that should be part of our training and why we do karate and why we continue to do martial arts. And the third one is respecting. For us, we do Okinawan karate, so respecting Okinawan karate and their system and their syllabus and their thoughts and their techniques. So that's my three. But I mean, if you look back at 100 years ago, you've got Choki Motobu, or even earlier than that, Anko Itosu, creating a system, a new karate system to evolve what he had done before. So, I'm all for trying to do what the old masters did, but you have to seek what they saw as well. You've got to go out and find because the society now is different to a society 100 years ago, 120, 150 years ago. So you've got to continually to evolve. But yeah, I'd say 75-25 to Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. Well, look, I mean, since the new Cobra Kai has come out, Johnny's become a bit more of a hero, right? He's less the villain, now he's a bit more of a hero. So, yeah, I do have people call and inquire about karate. Do you teach Miyagi-Do? Nah. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Last week I had this girl call, asked me about Miyagi-Do, if I teach Miyagi-Do. I'm like, no. I said, who is this? Who's teaching me up? Who is this? She's like, I want to be the next Daniel-san. I said, what? Who is this? And she just hung up. said, So it's just a couple of teenagers being silly.
There is a club called Miyagi-Do. I think it's in New South Wales.
Yeah. Miyagi-Do, yeah. They've been around for a long time. Brunus. Yeah.
They'll probably be killing it now.
They had the last WKF world medalist, Christina March. She won
Christina March, wowee.
Yeah, 2012, yeah. Brunus, I used to fight against his son, 40th Brunus. Long time ago, man.
I still remember that match you had with Adam Myers.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I talk to Adam every now and again about... because he's killing it, man, with story martial arts. Absolutely,
he's killing it. Yeah,
absolutely
definitely
killing it. But yeah, I remember him kicking me the hardest. I've talked about it in my podcast too. But I've never been kicked as hard, and I thought he broke my arm at one stage.
He was, yeah. It's for the listeners. So the first time I met Cheyne was at the Nationals, and it would have been 10 years ago.
Oh, yep. 2016.
So about 8 years ago.
8 years ago, yeah. That was my last competition.
Yeah, and so Shane's in the heavyweight division. I've got one of my athletes, Adam Myers. So he just transferred from Taekwondo. He's back. He was back in a Taekwondo straight after that karate comp. But he was a national Taekwondo player. So, and I'd never seen you fight before, Cheyne. So I just told Adam, just a couple of good kicks, she'll be right. And I think the first kick he hit you, the turning back kick.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised you got up after that because that was full force.
Yeah, man.
That was a good kick.
Yeah. Well, I had never heard of Adam, had never seen him, and I hadn't competed for a long time, and I was 37 at the time. And walked out.
That was your welcome back. Was that your first fight at the comp?
No, I just done the veterans.
Okay.
I'd won the veterans maybe 20 minutes before that. So it was still pretty warm, but walked over and I'm 6'2", Adam's bigger than me. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then walked out, and so from Yoi, we get up to bow, and instead of doing the yui, he's stuck his right leg forward or his left leg forward, and he's turned side on. And as soon as I saw that, like, guy's taekwondo.
You
I
just
knew he
taekwondo
was
power.
taekwondo right from the start. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just moved back and watched him kick the shit out of me. Yeah, so after the first 30 seconds, all I was doing was just waiting for him to kick, and I move in and hit him, or I move out, take the kicks on the arms, and then hit him. So, but man, honestly, I've never been kicked like that. And the referee, maybe it was a spinning kick. The referee comes over to me and he goes, I knew him from many, many years ago. And he's like, Jesus shit. He like, hello? I said, yeah. And he goes, do you want the minute? I said, nah, she'll be all right. But yeah, honestly, man, I thought he'd broken my left arm, and he may have done some damage because I couldn't use it the next couple of weeks.
Wow. And you end up winning that competition, I think, from memory.
Nah, I got silver.
I got silver. Who'd you lose to?
Angel. Can't remember his last name.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember him. He was a gun.
Mate, we're all big fellas. So I fought another guy, Nemo. His name was. He's got a very long name. I think they were just calling him Nemo. He was in the Australian team. I hadn't heard of him before, and I beat him 3 or 4-0. And afterwards, I walked up and I said, "Oh, thanks for that." I said, "Sorry about that." And he was really upset. One, that he lost to such an old guy, or two, he had to come first or second to get into the Oceania team. So back into the
I know who you're
teams.
talking about now.
Yeah. So anyway, I think he quit after that, or not because of that.
Adam beat him after that too.
That's right. That's right.
The bronze.
Adam beat him to bronze, yeah. And so Angel beat me 1-0. I was okay with that. And then I'm just, I've been competing. I've been doing karate since I was 4 or 5. So I've done many national competitions, had represented Australia a couple of times, and I was just too old, and I wanted to concentrate on running the dojo. So not long after that, my regular work and opened the dojo full time. And I was asking you many questions. We're talking many things about karate, running dojo, and that sort of thing. So it was great. It was a great trip. I had a great time.
After that competition,
yeah,
we started incorporating more of the taekwondo kicks into our karate syllabus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
turning back kick.
Yeah.
They call it a nutterbun, but just a turn, like a spinning mawashi, turning kick.
I lived in Korea for 2 years, and had thought about doing that. Like, this is 2004, 5, 6. I lived in South Korea, and I had thought about learning taekwondo purely for the kicks, right? For the turning kicks, the double papa, so I went to a couple of dojo, but what I should have done was just done a few private lessons and did some training, but I had to train in the class, and a lot of them were kids, and it was too similar and too different. So just the way that they cut the movements, like in taekwondo, it's a bigger pullback before they do a strike, and the distance is different for sparring. So I decided not to. But looking back, I really wish I had done what you did, especially looking at Taekyon. You know Taekyon?
Run me through. The name sounds familiar.
Taekyon is maybe a martial art, maybe from Korea, maybe a couple 100 years, maybe. Not. There's no Koreans will say definitely 100%, but I don't know if it's a martial art or was a dance, or it's kind of like a capoeira. And that's sort of like they do a lot of kicks and moving. So apparently Taekyon influenced Taekwondo's. Taekwondo is originally from karate. For the listeners, if you do Taekwondo, don't yell at me. From the 40s, 50s, 60s, and but now Taekwondo is its own thing, right? They have their own their own kata, their own kicking, and how they move is different to karate. So it's its own martial art now for sure. But yeah, I wish I had included more kicks.
Yeah, that's what we did. We took the Taekwondo kicks with our self-defense. Originally, as like most karate clubs, it was started off with one steps, that Ippon Kumite, Sanbon Kumite.
Yeah, yeah,
Then we progressed it to, we started doing a bit more Krav Maga. So I got certified as Krav Maga coach.
oh, yeah.
Then we moved to more just grappling based self defense. Because we didn't want the kids, because our club's mainly kids. So our marketing, like for the next marketing push, we're going to be focusing on our pre martial arts. So our kinder, our preps, our grade ones and grade twos.
Yeah.
So our club is mainly kids.
Yeah.
And we didn't want them to be constantly punching, kicking for self defense. That's why we moved to more grappling based self defense.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, look,
Yeah.
it makes sense with the grappling for kids. 20 years ago, if there's a kid on the playground, you punch him in the face. 30 years ago, that ends that little confrontation. But now you can't punch a kid in the face. So
I remember doing that as a kid.
yeah, for sure.
Many
Yeah.
times. Got in trouble.
Well, with your personality, no wonder.
With my brother too. It was always 2-on-1.
Mate,
Always.
you should just blame it on your brother.
Well, actually, funny you say that. Kenny, he was on his last warning. If he got in trouble, he would have got suspended. So I get a call up to the principal's office. And then Kenny walks past and he just gives me a nod. I'm like, hey, I got to take this hit. Because I had a couple more strikes up my sleeve.
The old switcheroo.
So then, the switcheroo.
Oh, nice.
And so I'll go into the principal's office. And then principal's like, you know what you did? And I said, what did I do? Because I had no idea.
What I do?
She said what I did, and I confessed, copped my detention. And we do that a bit, me and Ken.
That's a good brother. What about at the dojo? Do you get mistaken all the time?
Oh, yeah. 100%, yeah. At the moment, I'm actually mainly on front desk. So a lot of the students don't actually know that I train martial arts.
Right,
Which is quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very, I just tell them, like, they ask me, oh, what belt are you? I'm like, and I'll joke to them. I'll say,
Yeah.
I don't train. I'm just front desk.
Well, yeah, I think like that's the evolution as well of a dojo, right? Like, all this week I haven't taught one. I don't think I've taught one kids class. I've been, I busted my knee doing jiu-jitsu. That's the other thing about jiu-jitsu, right? Like, my knee was busted from Kumite many years ago, but jiu-jitsu doesn't help. And the funny thing with jiu-jitsu is, and why it's so popular and why grappling is so popular now, is the average person can roll or do like a sparring match rolling almost straight away. Like you can't do that with sparring with Kumite or Muay Thai. You can't because one, you don't understand distance control, timing for yourself or the other person. So, it's dangerous if you put gloves on somebody in the mouth guard, go, like what? Somebody's going to get hurt, right? Whereas jiu-jitsu, you're going to get hurt in jiu-jitsu too, but you're not going to get you may get a stray elbow, but if the person understands how to look after a partner, then there's going to be less injury because the only injury that you're going to do is from yourself in jiu-jitsu if you have a nice training partner. That's
it.
Not in karate.
With our self-defense, so for our karate syllabus, we're mainly grappling, but the way we minimize injuries is we use the constraints-led approach. So in the karate syllabus, we actually don't teach any jiu-jitsu technique, but we do a lot of grappling games.
Yeah.
So the way we would do it for kids, like even today, yesterday the game was we just set up a little ring with 2 belts. And the winning condition is you need to lift your partner from the front, from behind, or lift their leg in the air for 3 seconds, and that's a win.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How do they
And you're not allowed to punch, kick, bite, scratch, no friends, no weapons.
Okay. How do you start that match?
So they'll start disconnected, and then they go for it. So for them to lift their partner, they have to get some sort of connection on the arms first. and then they got to get closer, lock up a grip, so any grip they like,
Yeah.
and then lift them. So without me actually saying, I'm not teaching any technique. With kids, this works really well because they're good problem solvers,
Yeah.
and they kind of figure out the solution to that problem.
Well, I think
For
with
adults, it's different though.
yeah. With kids,
The
that's just play, right, for kids.
Yep,
So with our jiu-jitsu,
that's the end game. They
that's
love
right,
it.
man. Yeah, like with the jiu-jitsu class, the kids jiu-jitsu class that we have, you know, it's just wrestling that they do at home, but with technique and with
Yep.
a little bit more safety. I love that game. I'm going to play it this afternoon in the kids class.
Yeah, just for the adults, the way we modify it to reduce injury is we put them into positions which are more static. So the game might be if we say if the game is to lift, we might make it with them. They can only lift from the front or behind. They can't lift a leg in the air. Because if you lift a leg in the air, then it's easy to trip, buckle your knee.
Yeah.
We just put more constraints on the adults.
Yeah. Do they wear a mask?
For those, no mouth guard. But you just remind, we probably should get mouth guards for that.
Yeah. Well, we do a 2-person drill where it's just one person attacks, the other person defends, and they attack. It was just a 2-person flow drill. But now, lately, I'm thinking that maybe a mouth guard is we should be using mouth guard, just for those overzealous, people. In one of our drills, somebody chipped a tooth.
Wow, that sucks.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, chuck the mouth guards on.
Well, in jiu-jitsu, so with our kids' jiu-jitsu class, I had, in that, like, I'm a white belt with 2 stripes, right?
Nice, good work.
Huge. But I assist in the kids' class, mainly yelling at the kids because or helping out. We have a dad and a mum who train at the same time as the kids, so I just help the adults. So I was rolling with a white belt, and white belts, they what do they call it? They spaz out, and he's just elbowed me in the side of the jaw. This was 2 weeks ago, and I thought he'd fractured it. It just he just turned around and went, bang. It hurt a lot. So in our adult jiu-jitsu class, I think we've got about 20. Let's call it 20 adults. 15 of them are karate black belts. So
nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they are already understanding how to roll with a partner, or how to move with a partner, and how to be calm. Whereas the 5 who aren't black belt or who aren't karate or have been training, they're absolute psychos, and you've got to calm them down. Like, that's where you get injured, right? Whereas the other guys, whether they are white belt or 1 or 2 stripes, they're a bit more calm in how they're moving and thinking about how to attack this, or how to defend this. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's tricky when you got new adult students. I find if you can't trust them, then I just, as a coach, I would just roll them.
Yeah.
You don't want them hurting the students.
With your adult class, why do you why don't you have the same sort of numbers as your kids? Or
we our
kids?
marketing is mainly for kids. Yeah. So that's what we specialize in. So we kind of figured out early that Ken and I were just really good with kids. And then the way we build up our coaches, our first priority is get them really good teaching kids classes.
Yeah.
And then just as a consequence, our adult classes are pretty much full. So we can't really take that many.
Oh, there you go.
They're all full of brown and black belts. So
well, that's awesome. Yeah. I think with the adults, for us, between 18 to 30, we don't have many adults. If we do have 18 to 30, it's generally because they've been trained with us as a kid, or maybe as a teenager, and they continue to train. Trying to get that group into karate, man, it's hard, really hard. So 35 years plus, yeah, we have a lot. we have, I'd say 70% of our adults are 35 and above,
Yep.
which makes it interesting for marketing, and retention can be good, but with with like an external activity with the kids, easy just go to bowling or the local trampoline place or whatever, right? Adults, it's a little harder when they're over 35 because they've got kids, they've got commitments, they've got Saturday, oh, I can only come in this Saturday night, that Saturday, say. So that's a harder, like even that if you're talking evolution, um, that is harder as well. That's it's a whole separate program, whole separate focus. That retention of
Sounds like you're doing a good job though. Got over
adults.
100 adult students, probably more adult like karate students than most other clubs. So I think you're doing a good job there. Oh, you're back. Yeah, I lost you for a sec, but you're back.
Yeah, I lost you. What happened?
Yeah. No, it sounds like you're doing a good job. It'd be good to pick your brain just to finish it off. So, how many years have you been coaching for?
Oh gosh, 30, I suppose. I
Jeez,
started
that's
teaching.
good. So you would have seen a lot of different like cohorts of students come through.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah.
I was talking to another coach of mine, and he was saying that like kids are getting less fit.
Okay.
It'd be
Yeah.
good to get your perspective because
Yeah.
I know from mine, definitely less flexible,
Yes.
less fit.
Less agile. Yeah, 100%, man. Like so.
What were they like 30 years ago? Like, I'd
Uh,
like to ask my sensei, what was I like when I was 5 years old? Because
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
there was a lot of playing.
Yeah. Well, look, 5 years ago, I changed how we run the classes, run the kids' classes, because as you said, especially post COVID, kids are, I don't want to say lazy, but so what we do with the kids' classes, we used to run 45-minute kids' classes. Now we run an hour. And that extra 15 minutes is spent at the start of the class getting the kids fitter. So we do 15, 20 minutes of agility drills, running, coordination, hand-eye coordination drills, all of those things that are missing from kids at school, going to their friends' houses. So like for example, my son went to his friend's house a couple of days ago, and I said, "What did you do?" We played Fortnite or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What else did you do?" "Oh, we kicked the ball." "What else did you do?" "Oh, that was it." I'm like, so when I was his age, we'd be climbing trees, riding bikes, running, playing
Yep.
footy, playing.
It was all outdoors. You were just out of the house.
Playing rugby league, not AFL, mate. This is Brazil. This is Queensland.
Oh, okay.
But doing something active. And at school, same sort of thing. We'd eat lunch on the way to go and play. Whereas at my son's school, they have to eat for 15 to 20 minutes and then they can play. They have to sit.
Really?
Sit underneath a building. Everybody finishes their food and then whistle goes and they can go play. So the kids are missing that, right? I think also it's easier for kids to stay at home and play an iPad or use a Nintendo or something than doing anything else, right? So when parents come in, I talk to the parents about this is what's going to happen. The kid will love it for the first 2-3 months, will want to come every day. And then after that, they will say they don't want to come because they don't enjoy it anymore. And I say what they would rather do is stay at home, watch an iPad, watch the Netflix, that sort of thing, rather than go to training. I said, so what we do is let's watch your child for the next 2 weeks. If they're not enjoying the class, and after the class, if they're not smiling and enjoying it, then they don't like karate. And please, do something else with them. Take them to basketball or something. But if they're enjoying it, then the answer. You know they would just rather stay at home. And I said it's up to us as parents to take our children to basketball, karate, cricket, whatever the activity is, and because it's easier for parents, it's easier for me, it's easier for you to stay home and watch the Netflix or the Prime or whatever, the Disney Plus. It's easier for us to crack a beer then take our child to a class at 5 p.m. So I talk to parents about that as well. And also with adults, like, man, it's so much easier now. 20, 30 years ago, Friends is on at 7:30. Oh, cool. Well, I'm going to go do karate at 6 till 7, and I'm at home to watch the Friends. Now, though, like, oh, I'm just going to watch whatever I want on Netflix. And then, I couldn't be bothered to go to karate now. It's too late. Like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. And then all of a sudden, so when I talk about competition, it's not the Taekwondo place at the road. It's not the Muay Thai place. It's not soccer. It is Netflix. It's the internet. It's the mobile phones. That's how real competitor. And
100%, yeah.
As far as the young kids go, I think the pre-kids, so the pre 4, 5, 6, they're still really active. But once they go to like maybe year 1 and onwards, yeah, there's just less activity. So yeah, that's how we approach the hour class now, not 45.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're fighting the good fight.
Yeah, well,
Someone's got to do it.
well, it's selfishly, it's easy to teach them karate too. It's easier to teach them if they know their left from their right, if they can walk without having to, look where to put their foot. So, it's a win-win. It's so much easier to teach a kid who can follow directions and who is fitter and stronger. And, yeah.
Well done. Let's wrap it there. So awesome chat, Shane. Running a great program. It's, started progressing from the 80s. So that's awesome. And it's still, it's got its, different versions. So I love it. It'd be good to see what you do over the next 5 years. Yeah, that'd be very, very interesting.
Yeah. So the next 5 years, so we've got stand-up, we've got grappling, we've got weapons. I'm not sure what else we can add, but who knows?
Maybe cyber.
Oh,
hey, hi.
Who knows?
Fight the bullies online.
Look, our next chat might be AI. It's one Shane, one Lance, just chatting.
I know this Riverside program, you can just type the words in it and it just has a voice for you. So maybe we'll just do that. You don't have to talk, we'll just type it.
Well, much better. I've got a face for radio, mate. So.
Thanks, Shane.
No
Thanks
worries.
for the chat.
Thanks, man.
Okay, guys, if you enjoyed that chat, let us know. Like, subscribe. If there's any other topics you want us to cover, just send me a message. Woos.